Hey, this is Max. I am back with another CSR2 video. This time it is the Aston Martin Vulcan, which is coming up next season as a legendary cup car as well as an Evo Cup car, which will eventually lead to you winning a 5-star purple star Aston Martin Vulcan AMR Pro. So this car is a very good car in general, and I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to obtain a purple star version. So, what about the effects of stage sixes on this car? Well, that's why I'm here today with this video. I am going to discuss this with you and show you some of the effects of stage six on this car. I do not personally have a fully maxed Aston Vulcan. So what I did is I was given access to Nick Wils' account, which has a fully maxed Aston Martin, and it allows me to do this video for you. I want to thank Nick for his help in this, allowing me to produce this video ahead of actually upgrading my own car to fully maxed status. So let's start talking about this car without a fully maxed setup situation. We want to start talking about it with just stage 5 parts. And let's tune the car to the maximum it can with stage 5 parts only to see where it places us time-wise as far as performance. So here I'm just kind of tweaking it with all stage 5 parts. Nitrous sticks around 6.0 to 6.1, usually gives you the highest Evo points. The other parts are not really that useful. If you look at the dyno now, this car would dyno at about a 9.177. You could probably tweak it for a little better. We could, play with it and see if we can get another point or two out of it, but that's about where it's going to be at, a 9.177. Trans is almost always at 2.0. Messing with the trans doesn't help. If you move the numbers, it only goes down on the Evo. It doesn't go up. So you're going to leave trans at 2.0. Likewise, the effects on the tire tuning is about the same too. You kind of leave it be. It's going to stay at 5248. No matter what additional parts you throw on, those two pretty much stay the same. So really, the only thing you're tweaking would be nitrous to try to eke out the extra points. So without stage sixes, the best you're probably going to get out of it is a 9.176 I just showed you there. Now let's move on and play with some stage 6 parts, but let's put it through its paces once at stage 5 only and see where we come out performance wise. So this car wants a perfect launch, and at stage 5 I find that too early a shift really doesn't help you. But near perfect, deep good shift tend to produce a pretty good run. Not necessarily beating Dino, but close or on Dino. That was pretty close to what Dino is. So let's now move on to the stage 6 effects on this car. Um, we're going to start off as always going to stage 6 nitrous right here. Stage 6 nitrous. When you install stage 6 nitrous right here, you'll find that it does drop the time quite a bit. It is one of the big stage 6s along with body, tire, and trans, which are traditionally the big ones. So let's see what nitrous can do for us. Now, when you add nitrous stage 6, you do have to tune because now you have a 10.5 duration. So before you dyno, you want to put that duration to 7.8. That gives you the maximum Evo you can, 8.827, a nice impressive drop from 9.176. That is a decent drop, almost 4/10. Okay, so three and a half tenths second drop from the stage 5 only. Let's take a quick run with nitrous and see how it affects the performance of the car. I can tell you that nitrous is big for most stage 5 cars. When you add nitrous in as the first stage 6, you see a significant drop on almost every tier 5 car, I should say, not stage 5 cars, but tier 5 cars. So here I'm just kind of activating nitrous, You notice that in stage 5, you don't get past fifth gear. You kind of top out in it. But once you put nitrous stage 6 in, now you're hitting 8.872 with just um, bouncing the needle at fifth gear. You could probably go into 6 and come out close, if not slightly better, assuming all the shifts and other things are equal. So I'm going to try one more time here. You need a perfect launch too. That's another key part about this car. It gets a little finicky when you don't get a perfect launch. Here I'm trying a little different shifting technique, a little bit earlier shifts and letting it run into 6. I don't think that did better. Um, we'll find out. Nah, it's a little bit slower that way. So for now, at least, without spending more time just showing you how it's run, play with the different shifting points. You may be able to eke out even a slightly under dyno run with nitrous only. But nitrous, again, a big stage 6 and quite effective for this car. I think I'm gonna let's try one more run here. All right, let's see if I can get close or possibly beat dyno if I tweak it a little bit more with the driving. Oh, good start. That's not going to help. Let me see what I'm doing here. 8.846. That's not bad. That's close enough. Dyno's 8.827, so I'm about 200s off. That's close enough for my purposes. Okay, so that is nitrous, one of the first and obviously important stage 6s. So let's move on to the next one. Next on the list, stage 6 body. Okay, let's take a look how that affects the car. Now, on some of the tier 5 cars, we know that body is significantly better than nitrous in any other stage 6, particularly on cars like the Lamborghini Huracan. It is much better. Let's take a look, see here how much better it may be for the Aston Martin compared to nitrous. It looks optimistic, although the Evo points didn't seem to be higher. Let's see if the actual times are any better. Again, you're not really tweaking the other two, you're just tweaking nitrous only. 8.765, definitely better. That was an 8.827 before for nitrous. Now we're down to 8.76, almost 500s better, or 600s better than the nitrous by itself. So that's a good sign. So that means body's big. Body drops it to 8.7 from a 9.176. Does it drive any differently? Probably not. This car is pretty much driven the same way until it's closer to maxed, at which point you can get out of the first few gears a little bit quicker under nitrous. And I shifted into 6. I don't think it even makes a real helpful difference to shift into 6, but hey, look, it came close to dyno as it is. That's not too bad. We can move on to the next stage 6. So body's big. Body is right now number 1 as far as stage 6s. As you can see, it is a significant drop. Okay, what's next? Stage 6 tire. All right. Okay, so for a lot of the tire spinner cars, stage 6 tire isn't necessarily going to come out right away being really helpful. The Aston Martin is a fast car, high top end, but still relatively grippy. That's why you kind of activate nitrous early. It's not like the LB Aventador where you activate it really late. So here, um, tweaking a tire a little bit doesn't seem to do anything. Tweaking nitrous a little bit doesn't seem to do anything. So basically, this is a straight slap on part. And obviously, transmission didn't do anything. So that Evo points tell me it's going to be slower than body by a bit, and it is. It's about 2/10 slower than body. Well, not quite 2/10, a tenth and a half. So it's a bit slower, um, but still, it's a pretty big stage 6, given that it did do a significant drop into the 8s from a 9.1. Okay, that moves us to stage 6 trans. Stage 6 trans, generally speaking, for tier 5 cars, has been a pretty big one for most cars. And I'm pretty sure it'll be useful here for the Vulcan as well. Let's take a look. Again, There's no tweaking at all. You just kind of jump right in and dyno it 8.897. So it's right in between uh, and slightly under the nitrous and body. Body number one, nitrous number two. Now trans coming in number three. So far, tire has come in number four. Let's move to the next one. Stage 6 engine. Now notice I'm not really running the car because without, and also you're not really tweaking the car. You're just adding stage 6 and you get the effect. Notice there's no hash marks next to the tune thing, and that tells you there's no real tuning you can do. It's going to do what it's going to do. 9.042. So we drop back into the nines with the engine. That's not really surprising. Engine traditionally, many cars isn't that strong. Certainly not as strong as on the body for tier 5 cars. So engine is now after tire. Here's stage 6 turbo. Now turbo and intake generally are the worst two as far as stage 6s are concerned. Let's see how it stacks up against engine with just purely dynoing. Again, no tuning involved. Adding it, if you already had the optimal tune, it's not going to retweak that. Very close. I mean, this is very close. It's not really any significantly worse than engine, which is surprising. Generally, turbo and intake's a lot worse than engine, but in this case, it's actually pretty much on par with it. And that brings us to the final one, stage 6 intake. Well, well, well. Traditionally, the absolute worst stage 6 at all times. Let's see what it does this time on the Vulcan. I'm hopeful that it's not super terrible, giving us only a few thousands or maybe a hundreds or two. Hopefully, this will do a decent amount of effects. Let's take a look. Oh, and it beats turbo by a few thousands. How about that? So in this case, engine, turbo, and intake are almost identical in performance as far as the greater scheme is concerned. A few thousands, you would have a hard time feeling the difference when you actually run it. All right, so let's talk about actual stage 6 effects with different combinations now. So we know what each one of them do. We know the four big ones are nitrous, body, tire, and trans. But here what I'm going to do is I'm going to install a few of them. Oh, wait a minute. I think I'm actually going to install all of them. Hold on. Let's put trans in and get this up to the maximum PP point. That's 714. Okay, so let's take a look at the stage 6 effects fully maxed first. This way, when we start taking them off, we can discuss it better. So fully maxed with tweaking the trans, what am I saying? The nitrous. And here we go. We got our max evo, which is 2104. You're not going to be able to do much of the trans or the tire. Again, it stays where it is. It's not going to get better if you move it. So 5248. Nitrous stays where it is. Any tweak will actually lower it. So what did that give you? That gives you a 7.649 dyno. This is actually reachable pretty easily. And I know that world record holders might have hit 7.5 something already with this car. So 7.6 is just, what the average Joe will get driving this car. Again, with perfect launch, I'm going to actually get out of first, and whoop, that was not a perfect launch. And that was not very good shifting either. But this is like a typical drive, right? You launch it, you get into second, you deep good shifts. 7.7, that's a little bit slower than dyno. Now, I know the car can do 7.5s. I don't know how to drive it to do that since I never had a Max Vulcan. I've only seen some videos. But I think you launch it and then you kind of shift quicker through the first 3 or 4 gears, and then you let it run through the final gear or two. So let's try that. Okay, so I'm kind of shifting early. 5th gear, I let it run all the way through. 6th gear, and boy, that's a fast mile per hour, 454 mile per hour at the end. 7.642. All right, good enough. Good enough for me. That's close enough to dyno. 7.5 is probably going to take some really good shifting and driving, which I'm not going to worry about on this video. I'll play with this some more if I get those stage 6s. But bottom line is 7.6 is about where you would be at if you were fully maxed. Now, knowing the past Evolution Cup and Legendary Cup benchmarks, for example, the Hennessy came in at about an 8.0, right, for the Evo Cup, and it's a 7.4 car. We're looking at a 7.5, 7.6 car. Let's just say maybe Evolution Cup will come in at 8.16 or 17. How many stage sixes are you going to need to hit that? Well, let's take a look and see what removing some of the stage sixes will do as far as the effects on this car. So right now we're looking at 7.6 basically with all stage sixes. Once we start taking out some of the stage sixes, particularly if you take out some of the more important ones, you're going to see a significant drop. But what if we take out, for now, the weaker ones? All right, let's take three of them out. How much slower is this car going to be without intake, turbo, and nitrous? We're leaving only four now, right? Four stage sixes. Can it get under, say, an 8.0? Because that would be an interesting benchmark. That's essentially where they Natural Motion kind of put the Hennessy. Well, now 7.897. That's only really a 2/10, not quite 3/10 drop from the dyno of a Foley Max car. That's not bad at all. So if you're missing those three stage sixes, you may still be able to finish the Evo Cup. And obviously, it'll still run probably around a 7.9. Let's take a look. All right, perfect start. Let's try the short shifting method. I may, maybe I should have let fourth gear run through, but whatever. Fifth gear, sixth gear. Uh, let's see what it runs. 7.95. Yeah, I could probably do better than that. But bottom line is that 7.8 dyno, 7.9 runs are quite possible with just four stage six. Now, those are the four best ones, right? So what about if you don't have one of those best ones? Let's readjust here a little bit. Let's take out nitrous. Nitrous is big, not quite as big as body, but nitrous is big. But let's add in everything else. Now we're talking how many? 6 out of 7 stage sixes installed. Okay, 6 out of 7 stage sixes installed, just missing nitrous. How much an impact would that have on the overall time? Ooh, pretty significant. So we're down to 7.96 with 6 stage 6 versus 4 stage 6. That's obviously not a good sign. So again, I think 8.0 here is a pretty tough benchmark if the Evo Cup actually came in around 8.0 XX or 8.1 even would still be pretty tough. And right now we're talking about only missing nitrous stage 6 and have full fusion. If you take out body as well, let's look at the time drop based on that. Now we're down to almost 8.4. So that's a huge drop. Now, Legendary Cup may very well end up around 8.5, 8.4, 8.6. But I have a feeling Evo Cup's not going to be that easy. I suspect Evo Cup's going to end up somewhere around 8.1s. And so you got to be prepared that if you don't have nitrous or body, you're probably not going to make it through the Evo Cup at all, even if you have the other stage sixes. If you do have the big ones like nitrous and body and in combination with tire or some other ones, you're probably in good shape. So even if you just take off body, I think you're going to be struggling to get into the sevens at that point. Let's take a look. Yep, 8.062. So just missing body will put you at an 8.062. That probably would be some kind of a benchmark for Evo Cup. 8.06, 8.16 perhaps. You could be out another intake and be slower than 8.1. So this is a almost max car situation with one stage 6 missing and you're struggling to get under 8s. I hope Natural Motion won't make the final cup anywhere near 7s. I think that would be very tough. But if you're lucky and you get those first 4, hey, guess what? You can now finish Evo Cup with just 4 stage 6. So body, nitrous, missing either one can be killer, even if you have the other ones. But if you have them, things will look a lot brighter for you. You're probably going to have a much easier time overall. So if you have nitrous and body and you're missing one of the random ones elsewhere, whether it be tire or engine or something, you're probably going to have a much better time of it. Even if you're missing something like trans, you may not be hurt as badly. But again, trans is pretty big, so I would put it probably on par with the others. So yeah, see, even without trans, you drop to an 8.169. So trans actually has a pretty big impact. You don't want to be missing that. So trans, body, nitrous, the big ones you want with tire, turbo engine intake can almost be not there, and you would still perform quite well. Well, let's take a look at some other possible combos here to see what the impacts would be. I would think 8.1s would be a pretty good final point. So that was 8.16 with just missing tire and trans. It drops you into the 8.1s. So you definitely don't want to be missing too much here. What I'm doing is I'm showing you effects of the individual fusions. Why you need to be considerate of this is because some of these fusions could drop you 20 plus Evo points. That is big. If you drop a few of these fusions, you could be almost as slow as dropping off a stage 6. So you want to keep that in mind. On the other hand, some of these stage 6s, the individual fusions add very little Evo, and it could have a marginal impact on your time. And therefore, you could be missing some fusions off of engine, for example, and do quite well still. So that's the fusion end of things. Fusions and the stage 6 both combine to make the entire uh, effect of what the car can run. So here, looking at some final um, situation here with some other changes is that if you have the first four, the big ones, nitrous, tire, trans, and body, you're going to do very well. But if you're missing those, you're going to have to struggle a bit. And that's probably going to be how it's going to play out when we get to the Evolution Cup next season. What am I hoping for? Well, I already have three of the four big ones. Okay, I actually have trans, nitrous, and tire. I don't have body, which I would love to get a hold of, and I do have intake, which I really don't care about. But hey, look, I got it. I got it. That's at least one less to worry about. So I have four stage 6, and my car only runs about an 8.0. So I may make it through Evo Cup as it is, and maybe I won't. We'll see. Now, if you have any comments or questions about what I've shown, feel free to make comments, ask questions. Again, I want to thank Nick for giving me access to this car, which is very helpful to allow us to do this video ahead of the actual release of the cups. And as always, consider subscribing to the channel because I will be making other Stage 6 effects videos. Most of the time when I can get access to a max car, I will make the video pretty quickly. I am now 23 minutes into this video, so I will try to cut it off basically at this point. Again, leave comments, subscribe, and thank you for watching the video, and I will catch you next time.